Have you ever wondered why your Chihuahua seems to bark at, well, everything? Are Chihuahuas simply born noisy? Or is every bark actually a message you've never learned to understand? Today, we're decoding what your Chihuahua is really saying every time they bark. And by the end of this video, you'll probably hear your dog very differently.
If you've owned a Chihuahua for more than a week, you've probably asked yourself one question more than any other. Why won't this tiny dog stop barking? They're one of the smallest dog breeds in the world, yet they often have one of the biggest voices. But here's the surprising part. Most Chihuahua owners accidentally make the barking worse without even realizing it. Today, we'll uncover the real reasons behind Chihuahua barking, explain what's completely normal, what isn't, and most importantly, how to tell the difference between a warning bark, an anxious bark, an excited bark, and one that's simply become a habit. Because once you understand the language behind the noise, everything changes.
Barking is their survival system. People often joke that Chihuahuas think they're Rottweilers. The truth is almost the opposite. Deep down, your Chihuahua knows they're tiny. Barking became their survival alarm. Long before they lived on our couches, their ancestors survived by noticing danger early. A loud bark says, "I saw something before anyone else did." It doesn't necessarily mean they're brave. It means they're vigilant. This is why many Chihuahuas bark before anyone else in the house even notices a visitor. They're constantly scanning their environment. It's exhausting, but incredibly effective.
They're talking to you. Here's something many owners misunderstand. Dogs don't use barking mainly to communicate with other dogs. They often bark because they're communicating with us. Think about it. Your Chihuahua barks, you stand up, you look outside, you open the door, you talk to them. Mission accomplished. They've learned that barking changes human behavior. Imagine if every time you pressed a button, food appeared. You'd keep pressing it. Your Chihuahua feels the same way about barking. Sometimes they're saying, "Someone's here." Other times it's, "I'm bored. Play with me. I heard something. I don't like that person." Or simply, "Hey, pay attention to me." The difficult part is that the same bark can mean completely different things depending on the situation.
That's why context matters much more than volume.
Fear sounds surprisingly loud. One of the biggest myths about Chihuahuas is that they're naturally aggressive. In reality, fear often sounds exactly like aggression. Think about someone trapped in a corner. They may shout loudly, not because they're fearless, but because they're scared. Many Chihuahuas bark when strangers approach because they're uncertain. The bark creates distance, and if the stranger walks away, your Chihuahua believes the strategy worked. I barked, and the scary person left. From the dog's perspective, barking saved the day, even though the person was leaving anyway. This creates a powerful learning cycle that repeats itself every single day.
Sometimes you accidentally teach it. Here's the part many owners don't expect. Sometimes we're the ones rewarding excessive barking. Imagine this scene. Your Chihuahua barks at the window. You immediately walk over. You pet them. You say, "It's okay, sweetheart." To us, we're comforting. To the dog, you may have just rewarded the barking. Or perhaps they bark and you throw a toy. Now barking leads to playtime. Dogs repeat behaviors that produce good outcomes. It's not stubbornness, it's learning, which is why two Chihuahuas living in different homes can develop completely different barking habits.
Quick question. What makes your Chihuahua bark the most? The doorbell? Other dogs? People walking outside? Or something completely random? Let everyone know in the comments.
The different types of Chihuahua barking. Here's where things get really interesting. Not all barking sounds the same. Once you know what to listen for, you'll begin recognizing patterns. A rapid, high-pitched burst usually means excitement. A slow, deep, repeated bark often signals suspicion. Short, sharp barks may simply mean, "Look over there." Whining mixed with barking often points toward frustration or anxiety. Then there's demand barking. The famous, "Throw the ball, give me the treat, pick me up." This bark usually stops the instant they get what they wanted. Learning to recognize these differences helps you respond more appropriately instead of treating every bark exactly the same.
Why some Chihuahuas bark more than others?
Here's something many people never consider. Not every Chihuahua has the same personality. Some are naturally cautious. Others are incredibly confident. Genetics certainly
certainly play a role, but early experiences shape barking even more. A Chihuahua that met many different people, sounds, and environments as a puppy often grows into a calmer adult. One that rarely experienced new situations may see ordinary events as potential threats. Age matters too. Puppies bark while discovering the world. Adult dogs bark to communicate. Senior Chihuahuas sometimes bark because their hearing or eyesight changes, making familiar surroundings feel confusing. Then there's energy. Many people assume a Chihuahua doesn't need much exercise because of their size, but mental exercise is just as important as physical movement. A bored Chihuahua will often invent their own entertainment, and barking is surprisingly entertaining. Every squirrel becomes a mission. Every passing car becomes an event. Every unfamiliar sound deserves an announcement. When their brain has meaningful activities, training games, scent work, puzzle toys, short walks, or learning new tricks, they're often calmer because their mind has somewhere productive to focus. The goal isn't to create a completely silent Chihuahua. That's unrealistic. The goal is helping them decide what's actually worth barking about.
So, why do Chihuahuas bark so much? Because they're alert, because they're communicating, because they're protecting themselves, because they've learned barking works, and sometimes because they're simply bored. The barking itself usually isn't the real issue. It's understanding the reason behind it. Once you stop hearing random noise and start hearing communication, your relationship with your Chihuahua becomes much stronger.
Every Chihuahua has a unique voice. The challenge isn't making them silent, it's learning what they're trying to say. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more Chihuahua facts, behavior tips, and health advice every week. And if you want even more exclusive Chihuahua content, behind-the-scenes updates, and members-only videos, consider joining the channel as a member. It's a great way to support the channel while getting access to extra content made especially for dedicated Chihuahua lovers. Also, visit my newsletter. Link is in description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.